When you take responsibility for other people, you are telling them that it's okay to not change and to not reflect on the decisions and behaviors that they are making. In the same way that you had to go through the lessons of hardship, of growth throughout your life, is the same things that they need to experience. And when you decide to take responsibility or speak for them or try to nurture or help them in any sort of way that would limit their own self-reflection process, you are basically impeding on them, on their growth and on their healing journey. It isn't your responsibility and you shouldn't take it, just in the same way that no one took it for you. The things that you had to go through, the things that you didn't feel comfortable with, things that made you who you are today, are the same things that everyone needs to go through. Same things that we all have to one day face. In our subconscious, we always have the tendency to have emotional dependency because we're never able to feel safe in our feelings and the environment forbids it. When you decide to tell the other person, hey, it's okay that you cry all the time, or hey, it's okay that you're angry all the time, you're telling them that they don't need to reflect on the emotions, on their behaviors. You are instead saying there's nothing that needs to be changed right now. There's nothing that needs to be worked on. When in fact, even now, between me and you, there is always something that needs to be worked on or worked through via trauma or healing or growth or anything of the sort, whatever you want to call it. It's important to recognize when someone is trying to hook you into asking for affirmations or asking for behaviors that would validate their own suffering or validate their own decision making, which would probably lead to bad decisions or bad thought patterns. In the same way that you have decided to go through the work, in the same way that you have decided that it is time to take responsibility for your emotions, your thoughts, your behaviors, your actions, they need to do that just as much. Or maybe you haven't yet. Maybe it's time to reflect upon your emotions or decision makings. An example would be that, let's say, I am asking you for affirmations for a negative quality or behavior that I'm doing, or a toxic trait, I guess you could say. I ask you, hey, do you think that I get angry too much or that I don't express it in the right way? And because you decide to not hurt my feelings or because you don't want to affect the relationship that we have or the way that I would think of you or anything of that sort, you say, no, it's okay. I mean, you can get a little angry sometimes and, maybe I may not feel safe around you, but there's nothing wrong with you being angry. What I asked for, what I fished for, and what you hooked into was validating my toxic trait or my bad behavior because I needed reassurance when reassurance wasn't necessary. Not that it was necessary. It wasn't the best thing to tell me. Instead, from my toxic behavior or trait, such as getting angry or passive aggressive, throwing things around when I'm mad, or expressing it through physical contact, or even berating you with my words, you could say instead, you know what? Yeah, it's the way that you're angry about it, the way you express your anger really makes people feel unsafe. Or I can see that you get angry and sometimes you get out of control, and that's not okay. The point isn't to validate these experiences. The point is to help and nurture the other person's growth and reflection. And by you doing the opposite, which is validating them because of whatever reason that you have, whether it be people pleasing, whether it be your own perception of self because you don't want to be a certain way in someone else's eyes, you say things that you don't really mean or things that you that are half truths, half lies. So it's very important for you to not only not validate these moments, but also to reflect upon yourself, because most of the time we do this subconsciously or unconsciously without even thinking about it. We want comfort in our emotions and our thoughts, but it takes the setting up uncomfortability for you to be able to manage and process these emotions and thoughts. When you start to decide that, hey, maybe the things I'm doing, maybe the things I'm thinking, maybe the way that I'm acting in these certain situations and environments aren't for my best interest or the interest of others, then you start to reevaluate and slowly readjust the way you think about things and the way that you behave or your actions. It takes time. What you should be doing, or how you should be approaching these scenarios, is to think about what you're saying. If I were to ask you, hey, am I too aggressive? Relating to me being self-conscious about how others might view my anger or the way that I express it. Instead of me asking for validation or asking for a compliment or comfort of any sort, instead I sit in the uncomfortability of the thought, which is, well, what am I really asking for from this other person? Am I wanting to feel validated? Do I just want to feel comfortable with myself? Is there a reason that I'm asking these questions to another person, even though their opinion of how I act doesn't affect me? It just affects the way I feel about myself. And that would lessen either yours or someone else's emotional dependency on the perspective of self. Let's say, for that example, I would say, no, okay? I don't need to be validated from other people. I don't need to ask them this question. So what am I gaining? What I want is to feel comfortable or to feel a little bit more secure in the way I behave with others or around others, or even just in general with the anger that I express. So what should I do instead? I should realize that maybe if I'm asking this question already, either to you or myself, that there is something that needs to be addressed. There is something that needs to be changed in some small or big way. And by me asking myself that question instead of asking another person, which would get me the validation and would get me the comfort that I am seeking, I would instead look within and say, okay, what part of my anger or what part of the expression of my anger is causing me to ask this question or to want to get validation so that I don't feel the way I'm feeling right now? And let's say for this example, I would say, well, it's actually, I'm worried because sometimes I know that I can get very physical when I'm angry, or I can attack the wrong people who didn't hurt me or make me feel angry when the person that did is roaming around scot-free. The person that made me angry makes me, the person that is making me angry, I express it to someone else. I attack somebody else because how someone else made me feel. And I make a victim out of someone that made me the victim. It's kind of like bullying. If someone's bullying you throughout your adolescence, then most likely I'm going to grow up with certain tendencies of bullying because that's how I express my pain and trauma of hardship of the way I was bullied. Someone bullied me, I bullied someone else. Someone made me angry, so instead I express my anger to someone else and I hurt them in the way that I was hurt. So, leading back to what I ranted a bit, but leading back to what I was saying, so I don't feel comfortable the way I act in these environments. When I start to get angry, well, what can I do about it? What is there to do about it? I can't do anything, right? Usually, the first thing would be to just dismiss it, to scroll on your phone, or to invalidate myself, or being, you know what, like, yeah, that's just who I am. No, you are who you are because of the choices and decisions that you make. It is the small things and nuances in your life that make you who you are. And if you decide to accept the toxic or irrational behavior of anger, then that's going to be who you are and who you've accepted yourself to be. And when anyone else were to decide to approach you in a healthy manner or shed light to this specific subject in which I need to grow in, then I would get defensive or argumentative, combative, or even just angry in general, defending myself because I feel attacked, because I have finally come to terms with that's just who I am, or I've accepted that toxic trait. So, not only do I need to validate myself or find a healthy coping mechanism or skill in order to combat all these other problems that lead to this root problem, which is my anger. Emotions are hard to control because they are in our every decision and thought. Everything that you encounter, whether it is a person, whether it is an object, you are making a decision, and usually it is related to an emotion, or the emotion is related to the decision, the results in general. So it's important to understand that when you are asking these questions, or when you have these thoughts, or even if you are just alone and you're thinking these thoughts to yourself, instead of negatively impacting your mindset about it, which would be like, oh, well, it doesn't matter because no one likes me anyways, or negative thinkings, you instead think, okay, well, I understand this is how I am. However, even though this is how I am now, this is not how I will be forever. Because as humans, we are ever changing. So what can I do? What are the steps necessary? Because this is different for everybody. What are the steps necessary that I can do in which I won't be this way eventually? I say eventually because giving yourself a deadline would just negatively impact you if you don't meet your own standards. If I say I'm gonna be able to manage my emotions and my thoughts about it by Wednesday, and Wednesday comes, not only did you feel like a failure in not being able to manage your emotions, you also feel worse because of the deadline that it took. And then you have negative thought patterns about it even more because of everything that led up to it. Well, it's like, well, you started beating yourself up. And that's never the way you should be doing it. Instead, you should be thinking about positive ways to do things. So my goal is to not be angry or manage my emotions. Now that's a tall hill. You see how high my hand is? That's a big hill to climb. It's not no small feat to control your emotions because everything is asking for your emotions to come out. What is the first step that I can do? My goal is this, but what is the first step? I'm not thinking of all of the steps to do it. I'm not planning my whole future ahead of how to get from the beginning to the end. I'm just thinking, what is the next step for me to take? Okay, well, in this situation or scenario, what I could be doing is just reflecting or catching the moment that I'm feeling angry. If someone makes me feel angry, I'm going to try my best. It's not use words that wouldn't affect you later in a negative way. Okay, when someone feels angry or when I feel angry, I'm going to think about, okay, wait, I'm feeling angry right now. Just notice the emotion first. However, let's say the moment passed. Maybe you did explode again, right? Because not everyone could just be, okay, I can reflect on this. Or, hey, I noticed that I'm angry. Because it's a huge leap. It's a very, very big step for everyone. Let's say you exploded. You got angry again. Everything got out of hand. Well, oh no, I lost my train of thought for a second. Well, instead of saying, oh my gosh, I just blew up again. I can't believe this. Like, this is what I always do. Da 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 da. Just more negative thinking that would compile and work against you instead of for you. Instead of exploding and thinking bad things about yourself, you should think of it as a growing opportunity or something that you can work on no matter how you do it. I just exploded. Okay, did I do anything that I regret? Yes. Okay, that's okay. It's not a, oh, sorry. That's not a big deal. I'm still working on myself. So it's not like I have something to uphold yet. I'm naturally working in the qualities, traits, and patterns into myself that I want to see consistently in the future. So what do? You think about that moment. If you've made any regretful decisions, let's say based off of your emotion, you want to reconcile that. Unless you really feel passionate about your decision, whether the emotion was there or not. I think about it. Hey, I just blew up again. That's okay. What triggered it? What made me compulsively express my emotion without a second thought? Oh gosh, I need some water. Without a second thought. What made me mad? Well, it was this moment. Let's say it's because someone said something to me that made me feel like I wasn't good enough. So instead of me addressing it from a safe place, excuse me, instead of addressing it from a safe place, I decided to explode or get defensive and use my anger to protect myself. What could I have done differently? Well, I realize now what triggered my emotion. I realized how I acted. What could I have done that would have stopped me in that moment, or at least made me pause before I exploded, before I reacted? Instead of reacting, you would want to find something within yourself, because I am not you. You want to find something within yourself that is reasonable, that would allow you to be like, okay, I recognize this moment because this moment has happened before. Ooh. Now that I realize my mistake, I can correct it. So that's how it works. You first recognize, hold on. So what you want to do, I'm back. Oh my gosh. My throat is causing me so much discomfort. Is recognize the mistake, process it, have different results. Whenever we decide that we want to take this journey of growth and healing and of betterment, we think, hey, why aren't where I want to be already? We expect that things will happen in a month. And I want to let you know that this is a lifelong journey. This is something that you're going to continue to process, whether it's small, big, silent, loud. It's all the process of healing and growth. And when you set deadlines or when you set expectations that it's going to come faster or, excuse me, or be a certain time in your life, you shoot yourself in the foot. You limit yourself because the way I am now, it took me 7 years. It may not look like it because of just who I am now, right? No one questions your process. They only see the results and question the results. So when you think about what you're doing, when you start to go on this journey, it's going to take a very, very long time. And that's not to discourage you. That's to encourage you, because you shouldn't be thinking, hey, I'm going to have this down by the end of the month. If you do, you do. But don't think negatively or impact yourself negatively because on month 2 you backtracked, or on year 1 you started going back into old patterns. So that's what you want to do. You want to have that encouragement. Give yourself that lax. Give yourself that time to fully do what you need to do. If you rush it, it's never going to happen. If you try to speed up the process, you're only going to hurt yourself, and you're not going to give yourself the time that you need. It took you, or you've taken all this time to become traumatized or become unhealed or to get these patterns, it took you 10, 20 years, 15, 5 years, all this time, all this accumulated time, and you expect yourself to be healed of 7 years of pain and trauma. It's going to take you probably 7 years of healing and growth. That's just how it is. So remember this, the process of you regulating or noticing your emotions so that you don't have emotional dependency, and as well as for others, you realizing yourself in this is going to help others realize themselves in this, because you're not teaching them, you're guiding them. You're not doing the work for them, you're showing them the way for them to do their own work instead of validating their toxic or negative behaviors and traits. First, let's say exploded again. So first, exploding. Okay. Why did I explode? What triggered it? Second, you process it. Okay, I did do this. It wasn't what I wanted to do. It wasn't the best decision. I shouldn't have done that. Whatever your process is. How could I have done things differently? In what area or part of that scenario could I have changed or made a better decision, made a better pattern? After you processed it, you correct your mistake. And after that, you will change your results. The first time that you do this is going to be different from your 100th time. You may still explode on your 100th time, but it would never look like your first time. It would never look like the first moment of your explosive behavior, because throughout 1 to 100 times of you exploding, you have processed yourself over and over and time again, which allows you to be more aware of yourself, of other people, because you're doing the work for yourself and you see it in others how you used to be. So again, it's not to teach, it's to guide. It's not to do the work, it's to show them their work. And just because it's uncomfortable to show people or to tell people things that they don't want to hear, that's exactly the moments that they will remember that made the catalyst in their life to growth and healing. If you like this content, make sure to leave a like, subscribe for more content or to see my face, and I'll see you down in the comments below. My name is Augustin, and this is Just for Clarity. Thank you so much for being here.